Stephen Strasburg announcing yesterday he will retire. He will retire a World Series champion. We all remember his first Major League start, 2010, against the Pirates. Maybe the most hyped pitching debut the game had seen at that moment. If that's fair, Bob Costas on the call said, unleash all the superlatives as we welcome you back inside and say good morning to Ron Darling. We remember that debut. It was as highly touted as could be, and he lived up to it. Good morning.
Good morning. I just remember everyone in baseball, if they could, got around a TV to watch him pitch 14 Ks later, right? You're saying to yourself, you know, because the hyperbole behind prospects you hear all the time, and every once in a while, one lives up to it. And I think of three things. I think of that 14 strikeout performance. I remember the conversations Scherzer and Strasburg, maybe not so friendly in the dugout that one time, and of course, almost perfect through that World Series run in 2019. He was one of the biggest parts, a reason why they wear that ring.
And he was having fun. I covered that team in 2019. He was having fun. He was kind of letting himself go a little bit. We've seen the evolution, and he will say goodbye to the game.
But look, I think back to, and I go, what if? Because that postseason, when they won the World Series, that's as dominant as you can be, right? It was like game over. When he's in there, you're in the batter's box saying, I have no chance. The year or the postseason before, when they took the ball from him. Remember, he pitched all year and then said, okay, we're shutting you down. I just wonder what would have happened if he had 2 World Series under his belt and 2 possible World Series MVPs under his belt, if the narrative may have changed. Because I think a lot of people look back and they look at the injuries that he went through. Yeah. But when that dude was right and he was out there on the bump, I can't imagine another hitter or a hitter saying there's another pitcher I would least likely to face. Yeah. Because he had everything to embarrass you at home plate. Everything.
It's been reported that because he's retiring for medical reasons, he is due the remainder of his contract, a 7-year extension which he signed after the World Series. The Nationals were unable to insure it because of his injury history. So they are on the hook for the remainder of that contract. The Texas Rangers have lost 7 in a row. They lost last night. They had a lead, unable to secure it against the Minnesota Twins. Bill, prior to this streak, they were batting .291 with runners in scoring position. During the losing streak, they're batting .154. The bullpen has been a problem. I mentioned this stat. Level of concern for the Rangers now.
Well, I think you have to be concerned. You can play both sides of this because you lose 7 in a row and you still got a 1-game lead. Right. So you got to feel pretty good about that. But everybody in that locker room understands they're not playing well. And what happens in that thing that you described, Robert, when you're talking about hitting with runners in scoring position and it's scuffled, they're going to start squeezing the bat a little bit tighter at home plate, because every one of them now is even going to try harder. Yeah. And sometimes the harder thing to do, but it might be the right thing to do, take a step back. Yeah. You know, relax a little bit more if you can, but they feel it. They know where they are, but like I said, they still got a 1-game lead. That's important.
This is why you signed Bruce Bochy. For these times. He is going to be the guy that's going to have to go to these guys. He's going to do it in a funny way. He might have to get, yell at him. Whatever he has to do, he'll figure out a way to ignite his team. And I feel the same. I would tell that team, listen, it is August 25th. Right. You're in first place. You would have taken that before the
all day long.
All day long.
That's a great point. Texas and Minnesota to take on Sonny Gray. And the Twins, we learned yesterday, Shohei Ohtani has a tear in his UCL. We know what that means. We're also awaiting a second opinion. And in the meantime, he said he will DH. Wow, he hit in the second game after he knew about the tear. Why not just get the opinion now and then do whatever needs to be done? I'm confused about this. What was your take?
Anger. I think angry first that you get that diagnosis. I think after that, you're a teammate. You know, I can't pitch for you anymore, but I still want to be out there.
Unbelievable, really.
And as long as you get from the doctors that say, hey, I can't make this worse, then you go out there.
It'll let you know right now, this straightens this. That doesn't, because that's the way he's swinging the bat. Yeah. So, look, the fact that he goes out there, gets bad news in between games, and then goes out there and goes bridge in game 2.
That's remarkable.
Come on.
Unbelievable. Hopefully he's It's just going to be so fascinating to see what his offseason pursuit and free agency, what that is going to look like.
For a different reason than we originally thought.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The number's not going to be as big now. It's fair.
It's going to be more of who is going to take me when I'm not at my best and think that I can still help them and have a vision for me coming out of an injury.
Ron, the New York Mets announcing yesterday that next season they will retire the numbers of Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry. You, of course, were right there when they owned the city. What do you recall about the first time you saw both of those guys on a field?
Great question. I was throwing on the mound in spring training next to Dwight. He was wearing a 64. I could bring it, and he's throwing next to me, and I'm like, I do not want to throw on this mound anymore. Get me on another mound, a different time, let him throw by himself. Never seen anyone throw that hard, that easy. And for Darryl, you know, when you're a ball player, man, you step in the clubhouse and you're ripped. You know, you're in the best shape of your life, and you walk around, you feel like that, and then Darryl comes to the locker room, and you start to look at yourself, look in the mirror. Maybe I need to do a few more curls or something. He just was the most physically gifted person I had ever seen in person. It looked like he could have been a forward for the Lakers. He could have played wide receiver for the Eagles, but he opted for right field for the Mets.
Yeah, well, it should be quite a scene next year when the Mets honor two of the great players in their storied franchise history, Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry.